Welcome to Silent Service. My name is Will. We're on for episode 27, and I'm staring at my dear friend Matt. How are you, sir?
Will, what is up? How are you?
I'm doing well. What is up with you?
It's a lovely Tuesday in beautiful Florida. I don't
Yeah,
think
it
that
is.
either of us have much to complain about.
No,
All is
we
well.
no, we do not. For the listener, if you're not looking at our YouTube channel right now, Matt is situated in his office. He's got a beautiful background, and it just looks, I was just telling him before we started recording, it looks real nice. So props,
It
Matt.
is. There's some nice views, some nice people watching from this little ivory tower that I have. It's nice. It's a nice office.
And I don't think we've ever given the listener context, but Matt, I'm pretty sure we live and work in one of the most beautiful areas you could want to live and work in, especially Waterside, where we work. I think it's stunning, not only because it's so new, but it's just some kind of oasis, I think.
Yeah, whenever I'm not feeling the best, or if it's raining, and the weather's got me somewhat in a gloomy mood, like I always remind myself that we live where everyone vacations, and that
Hmm.
usually kind of just picks me up right out of it. But
Hmm.
also, unique message is that we all have a choice as to where we live and work. I get it. It can be difficult to uproot family, move to a new area. But growing up in Ohio, where it was gray, cloudy, glum all the time, there was like a substantial difference in just like personalities, among strangers. Like walking down the street in Ohio, I wouldn't necessarily say it's the most like friendly place. It's not like, anyone's mean or anything.
Right.
But like here in Florida, because of the sunshine, there's, people are smiling, little pep in the step, some good mornings here and there. Like you and I have talked about, like when we're on runs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
More
Extend a
prominent
hand.
here. Yeah, I haven't done that recently. I've thought about it. I just haven't done it recently. I had on Monday, so yesterday is typically like one of my run days, and I was out for a run, and there was like I couldn't tell if she was older or younger, but I could tell it was a female coming towards me. And I was like, I don't know if I want to put up my hand. It's dark. It's like 5 a.m. pitch
Yeah.
black outside, so it's like I'm gonna keep my distance.
Yeah.
Just say good morning.
Maybe a
That's
wave.
about it.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, little wave. But we do live in a really nice place.
We do. From the farms of Ohio to the beaches of Florida. Matthew DeMar.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
Farmsville. There we go. I love it. I like it. How you
Yeah.
doing? Let's check in. Maps. How you feeling mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually? You doing well?
Mentally, I'm feeling stimulated. I have this wonderful cup of coffee in front of me,
Hmm.
which is fantastic.
Hmm.
Tastes pretty good. Emotionally, I'm feeling just a little frustrated with you because I've been learning something about myself, and that is when I do tend to get just slightly frustrated, my willpower goes down slightly, and I'll do some things
Hmm.
that maybe I shouldn't be doing at the given moment, like I don't know, take a minute or two and look at social media, which I don't need to be doing, right? I need to be locked in. And then I get frustrated with myself even more because I'm like, oh geez, like the person 5 years from now would be real upset that I'm doing that. And it's just kind of this cycle. But then I remind myself of the idea that compassion that does not include the self is incomplete. So stop being so hard on yourself. And it's just
Hmm.
this internal monologue slash mess. So that's what's going on. Physically though, I'm feeling capable, and spiritually I'm feeling guided. Because then, the beautiful way to wrap that up, I remind myself that it's not my plan. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm a believer, so all is well.
It's a good take. I like it. I think we should perhaps unpack, some of the root cause to what's leading to some of the frustration. We can get into that. And I mean, what's leading to like the frustration? You got any like example?
Um, well, yeah. So for the listener, I well, Matt and I have been creating this website, and I think it's so cool creating a website because I've always wanted to, just to see how it all works, the ins and out of different containers, which is website lingo, and I just get hard on myself
You're a
because
web developer now.
I'm a web developer. Yep, moving to Silicon Valley next week.
A
Um,
no-code web developer.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm
That's not
gonna.
entirely true because you are using some code from ChatGPT prompts and other things like that.
Yeah, yeah. So. No, it's been a lot of fun, and yeah, but sometimes it takes me so long to do the smallest thing, and then I feel bad that it's taken long, and I'm just like, gosh, why is this so complicated? And I get frustrated. And it's really the first time I've felt genuinely frustrated in some time, which is something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just where my head's at.
But these like little mini breaks, like, yeah, I think that's like the right cue. It's like you're getting frustrated with something. Sometimes you just have to step away from it and come back, with a fresh look. That may take you 30 seconds, may take you, an hour, may take you two, may take a couple days. It just depends for each and every one of us. Once in a while, if I'm in that position where, like I'm deep in Excel, I'm like struggling with Excel formulas, it's super tedious. And that's what like the web dev stuff type, thing like reminds me of. I'll just get up and I'll go to the bathroom. Like I don't need to go to the bathroom. I'll just get up, start moving my body, getting like my eyes away from the screen. I already purposely attempt to look at something that's like 15, 20 feet away. Every like maybe 15, 20 minutes if I'm doing computer work or, like work with a screen. I just don't want to get my eyes like so fatigued. But I
Right.
wouldn't beat yourself up about like, hey, let me pull my phone out, look at social media for, a minute or two. Like, sure, there may not be much value there, but you think like I'm getting value by walking down the hall, going into the bathroom and coming out, like it's more of just, like getting new scenery and stepping away from the work to be able to come back to it, with a little bit of a different, look, fresh perspective, if you will.
I appreciate you saying that. And just before we started to record, or before you joined this call, Matt, I was thinking that I rarely ever see you out of sorts. I rarely ever see you frustrated or too low, right? So too high, either of those. You're always kind of even keel, like all's well, all's good. Rarely see you without a smile. And I guess if there were a G in MEPS, it would be gratitude because I'm grateful to be around somebody like that.
Well,
So
thanks.
I think the listener is too. So would love to
Well,
hear your MEPS.
it is a purpose like driven priority of mine. Like I, like to say like, if you get a little nail in your tire and like it derails your day, it's like your happiness is that cheap. Like it's really like all it takes is like one of these unconfounding variables to just completely derail your day. So I do make it a priority and I do it with intention where it's like I don't want to be bothered by little things like that. Like to understand that just to be alive in this world, we've already won the lottery, like genetically speaking, like we've won the lottery to be here. And then to be an American, to be in America, is winning another lottery. And the list just keeps going and going.
Word, yeah.
Like, like I think I just spent so much time, just running through the highlight reel of what I should be grateful for and, comparing my position in life, with those that are unfortunate. And it's very difficult not to like be in a state of like gratitude and appreciation, which ultimately like, blends over into happiness.
Right. And just on I do want to hear your MIPS. I don't mean to take away from you, but there's some kind of study where the brain is much more attracted to your negative thoughts versus your positive ones. It's almost like the brain will remember your negative experiences 10 times more often than they will your positive experiences. I heard something like this a while back. I'll have to find the article I read and we could talk about it more in depth. Because I know for a fact part of that's
Yeah,
true.
that is true. Like
Yeah.
as humans, like our DNA and like how we're programmed is to be like fearful, skittish. It's to, not get hurt. Like life expectancy wasn't very long. Just go back in time 200 years ago. Like it was not very long. It's like we genetically are not programmed to be in a state of, like I guess happiness, calm, there's a word I'm looking for where it's like, calm under pressure. It will come to me,
Poised.
equanimity. So like,
Equanimity.
yeah, equanimity. It's like being calm under pressure. And that's not like how we were designed, like just genetically. That's not
Right.
how like, we were programmed over time, which is
Right.
unique. But my maps mentally, I am feeling focused today. So I'm locked in with what you and I have going on. Emotionally, I'm feeling stable. All is well there. Physically, I'm feeling durable. Bouncing back from a couple of small little like muscle tweaks that I've had over the past week, like little tiny injuries from just being a little careless with some of my lifts. And spiritually, I am feeling a little behind. So that's one of the one of my buckets today that I'm not necessarily feeling the best with. Beating myself a little bit up for not being there on Sunday like with you and the rest of the boys. That was something that I really wanted to participate in.
Right.
So I am beating myself up on that.
For our youth
Similarly to
group.
probably how you're yeah, but similar to how you right beat yourself up for looking at social media for like 1 or 2 minutes, even though like no harm, no foul. Like I'm somewhat similar, in that capacity. But I haven't been to church in a little bit. I know you and I talked a little bit about that not too long ago, but it's also made me feel as if, I haven't, you know, given the time that I want to be able to dedicate, to be able to, get into scripture. So I am feeling a little bit behind, and I was thinking of creating like a ChatGPT project, so I can have some dialogue and like begin like a Bible course, like a self-taught Bible course, utilizing ChatGPT as my teacher. So as I embark on that journey, as I go down on it, I'll figure out a way to be able to share this project with you, so you can like see how it like what I'm doing with it, and maybe you and I can have some fun with it.
That would be pretty cool. Have you ever done the Bible in a Year, the podcast?
No, I have
365?
not. No, I have
Oh,
not.
that's pretty
What's it
good.
called?
It's just
Bible in a year?
Bible in a Year. Yeah, there's this reverend priest, if you will, who has a podcast, and he has basically little episodes for some passages that he finds really well valuable, but he goes from Genesis all the way through the Old and the New Testaments for a year.
So cool. So
So
cool. So I
yeah,
will check that out.
I
Do you know,
actually
is it 365 podcasts? Is that like how it's broken out, like one a day?
I'm looking it up right now. I only made it about 20 days. I'm bad, but
Hmm.
doesn't mean I can't give it a go again. Bible in a Year.
I'll,
Let me
I'll, I'll
check it
check
out.
it out. Yeah, I'll see if I like that, versus the self, ChatGPT side of it.
Yeah,
It's just so cool
number
what we can do with technology these days. It's wild. It's really remarkable.
It totally is. Number 147 in top podcasts with Father Mike Schmitz.
Mike Schmitz. Cool.
Looks like this. If
Cool.
it'll focus. Yeah.
I'll dive into it tomorrow.
Cool. Cool. Well, I'm glad you're feeling capable, durable, et cetera, because today, Matt, listener, I'm going to be interviewing you, Matthew, tomorrow, and I'm
Fun.
real excited.
Let's go. Let's
So
go.
I've gathered a couple of questions that have been top of mind, and because, some of you listeners have been really interested in Matt's background and what he's all about. No surprise. And I just gathered some questions from a light and fun perspective, from a reflective perspective, from a deeper perspective. So
Cool.
we'll just go ahead and we'll dive in. So in terms of light and fun to get us warm here, Matt, you and I, we talk a lot about habits, read a lot on this topic in terms of the personal development books. So with that, if you had to boil it down to just one habit, what is one habit or routine that you cannot live without? If it was only one, right? Let's say you're starting completely fresh, you can only pick one.
So, two things come to mind, and it's going to be really hard for me to decide between the two, but I will come to a conclusion by the time I'm done talking. The first thing that comes to mind is fitness. So, like the routine, whether it's CrossFit, lifting weights, just being able to like move the body. So, like fitness. And then the second would be reading. Now, which of the two is more important? Or which could I not live without? That like that's hard. I think that I would prioritize fitness over reading,
For
and
this stage of your life.
yeah, this well, I mean, really at any stage. I mean, like, what's the point of life if you're just like sick, fat, and miserable? So, like, I don't care how much money you have.
Yeah,
I don't care like what kind of relationships you have. I don't care what kind of influence you have. If your house that you live in is falling down on you and you have no ability to get out of your house, like there's nothing worse. So
right.
I think maintaining fitness, like that habit slash routine, however you want to refer to it, would be the one thing that I could not live without.
Okay.
And reading would be number two,
Okay.
even though you didn't ask.
So if you were locked in a room, you'd rather have a set of free weights than 5 books?
Well, this is different. So you're changing the question on me
Okay,
now.
okay,
So
okay.
if the question is to pass time, then yes, I would say let me read.
Yeah.
Give me a whole bunch of books.
Hmm.
Give me the Bible and give me like five other books of my choice, and then I'll have some fun with it.
Okay, okay. Got it. Got it. Didn't mean to change that up. Thank you. Question number two, and I don't think we have ever talked about these kind of guilty pleasures before, but I'm just interested to know
Okay.
what is one of your guilty pleasures, whether it be food, a show. Well, I don't think you watch a whole lot of TV, a hobby that would surprise people that listen to Silent Service.
You'd be surprised to know that I am a fiend when it comes to key lime pie. So
Really?
like yeah, that is like for a weird reason, like that's the guilty pleasure. So like in the past 3 weeks I've had three key lime pies, like full
Okay.
pies. So like
Full
I
pies.
tip yeah, full pies. Like I typically crush like one pie a week. Like that's like I'm dead serious. Like I am dead serious. Like that is the guilty pleasure. Like I'm not like super into sweets. I don't like candy. But being in Florida, like of course, like key lime pie is what we're known for. And
Yeah.
because I spent some time growing up in Key Largo, I think that's also why it just brings me,
Margaritaville.
yeah, it kind of like brings me back to like some childhood memories and stuff like that. So there
All
you
right.
go.
Well,
There's the guilty pleasure.
you went and lived there in high school for a little while.
Middle school,
Middle
yes,
school.
yeah, yep. I was there in middle school.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I am a little embarrassed, but I don't think I've ever had key lime pie.
Never?
Mm-mm, no,
What?
I don't think so. It's never really
Okay.
sounded appealing to me. It's like cottage cheese. Like I'm good. I don't
Okay,
know.
that's fair. There is one place in Sarasota that has been voted the best key lime pie in the state of Florida. It is called Floridian Flows. So a little shout out to Floridians Flows. I'll pick up a pie next time I'm there and I will bring you in.
Oh, you confirm that it's the number one in Florida?
Yes. Yes.
Really?
Yep. I've had
Really?
from everywhere, from every restaurant, Publix, grocery stores, Whole Foods, more than everything. I always try it just to see how it compares to theirs.
Okay, okay. If you do that, I'll get you my guilty pleasure. I'll bring it in and we can compare. But I won't tell
Deal.
you what
What
it
is it
is.
though? Okay, fine, fine. Let me bring in the pie and then we'll reveal your guilty pleasure to everyone else later.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Now, based on your background, I know you've been involved as in entrepreneurial ventures and business for a long, long time. And in the past, in high school, you worked at a health club, but I haven't been filled in on every job you ever had. So if you had to boil it down to just one of the weirdest jobs you've ever had, what would that be?
Weird. Ooh, that's interesting.
Did you have
I'm
any like
sure
freelance jobs, something weird?
like I think that more so I'll be going back into the like kid type projects, from shoveling snow off of driveways, which I don't, necessarily, consider to be weird, to, mowing grass to lemonade stands. Um, Let me think weird. What would be a weird job that I held? Um, I don't know if this was necessarily weird, but I was a grocery store blocker. So what that role entailed was blocking the products upon aisles. So like my job was to walk through the aisles and whenever products were pushed back because people had taken, like the first one or two, it was my responsibility to pull the remaining product forward to ensure that the aisles all were perfectly blocked. So like there was no like greater feeling than that cereal aisle. Like every cereal box was just like perfectly lined up straight.
Yeah.
So that was perhaps one of like the weirder type jobs where I was like, am I really providing much value here? But it was a very, very high-end luxury grocery store in Ohio. So very similar to Morton's, if you're familiar with Morton's on Hillview,
Okay.
similar size and shape to that, but very, very luxury, very high end. So
Okay. If we
that's
were
what I'm sitting as. That's what I'm gonna peg as the weird one.
if we were friends back then, I probably would have walked in and been like, "Damn, Matt, those fruity pebbles are looking great today. Good job." Something
Yeah.
like that. Something silly.
I got fired from that job
No, you
and
didn't.
I did. That was so I've been fired twice in my life and
What?
that was the first. It was heartbreaking and there is a story to it. So there was a story where I didn't feel that I did anything wrong. So like this is one of those perfect stories of like morality for us to discuss and I'm super curious to know what your opinion would be. I can save it for later. Or I can share it right now. It's up to you, whatever you want to do.
I really want to know, and I think the listener does too. Please tell us.
Okay. Okay. So whenever I came across products that were damaged, we had a policy to where we would bring them back, we would log it, and then we would throw it away. So if it was damaged or expired. And in one of the, and I was a high schooler at this time. So to give you an idea, maybe like 15, 16, I was 16 because I had a car. So at 16 years old, one of my like freshman classes in high school was doing some type of like donation to the American Red Cross or something local. And I remember in the back of this grocery store is called Heinen's. They had all of these older like plastic cups and plates and dishware that they were going to be throwing out. So like I was the one that was going to be tossing them out into the dumpster. So I went over to the general manager, can't remember his name, and I asked, "Is there any way that you would allow me to just take these, to the class because we're about to donate them? Like we're about to throw them away. They seem fine. Like, would you have any problem with that?" And he's like, "No, no, not an issue whatsoever. In fact, just take them around. Like bring your car around the back. Load up your car at the end of the shift. Like it'll be all fine." I'm like, "Okay, great." About a half hour later, as I was blocking, it just happened to be that these protein bars were expired. And like that was one of my roles was to look at the expiration date, right? We don't want any, customer to get sick, with spoiled product. So I saw that there was this box of protein bars. There couldn't have been more than like four or five of them that were expired. So went to the back, logged it, and set them right on the box of all of the plates, the cups, and other things like that, because that was effectively the trash pile, that needed to go into the dumpster. But instead of trashing it, I was putting it into my vehicle to take home. So I did that. I packed my vehicle up with the plates, with the cups, and I did take the expired protein bars. They were expired protein bars. And I figured, they expired within like 2 or 3 days. So like I'm sure they're still safe to eat. Um, I don't necessarily want to say that I was gonna like donate those because I was gonna eat them, but they were
Yeah,
expired. So like I was gonna eat them, like without a doubt, like I wanted them. So
right.
so so I packed the car, and as soon as I'm about to pull away, like the manager comes like running out, and he's like, "Let me check your vehicle." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Let me check your vehicle. I want to make sure that like what I told you could take, like you've taken." And he sees the protein bars, and immediately, without even a question, "You're fired." Like without even hesitation, like wouldn't even allow me to explain like that these bars were expired. Like a wild situation, but the
If they
company had
were
a policy and I violated the policy. So like at the end of the day, I was wrong. But this is one of those examples where like morality, I didn't think that I was doing anything wrong. Like these bars need to be thrown away anyway. If it's my risk and I want to put this in my body, it's like it's going into the trash can or it's going into my stomach. Like, what does it matter?
right.
Like what does it matter? But I didn't understand the principle behind it. And so many like of us forget the principle behind things. And we attempt to, we attempt to look for something that's a little gray, not necessarily black and white, to be able to get our way. And in a way, like that is manipulation. And like that's what was happening. But it was a lesson learned. I loved that
Mhm.
job. I was so upset, that I lost it. I tried to fight for it back, but once reputation's tarnished, and my reputation at that point in time was like this kid steals. And like, despite that wasn't the case, I could understand their perspective. So I had to come to peace, with that. And it was a major, major life lesson for me, like major life lesson. So I'm sharing it with the hopes that someone does not follow in similar footsteps.
Right.
Again, despite no harm, no foul, but it was a violation of company policy. So
It seems like
sorry
you've
for the tangent, but there you go.
no, no, I'm glad you shared. It seems like you've made peace with it and you're almost happy that it happened.
I am. I am happy it happened. Like, and that's one of those weird things where, like, for the longest time, it's like, why did this happen to me? Like, I wasn't trying to hurt someone. I'm not a bad person. Like, why did this bad thing happen to me?
Right.
And, this is where, like, in hindsight, like, of course, you have perfect, visibility into why certain things happen to you.
Hmm.
And, like, for me, it's like these are these lessons that God wants me to learn. And sometimes you just don't know, like, what it is in the moment, but always in hindsight, you can see it.
Hmm. Well, I wonder though if the excuse me, if the grocery store weren't so classy, top-notch type store, if they would have just maybe Said, "No worries, Matt. Welcome back. We were gonna throw him away anyway. Come on in."
Well, like at the end of the day, I did not ask him about those bars because I knew what the answer would be. And the answer
Oh,
would have been no, throw them away because that becomes a liability to the organization. If I eat these expired bars, I get sick. There's massive liability associated with the company.
right,
So again, out of principle, like the answer was no, like right. So like
right. I didn't even
I
think about the
did not ask
business
him for a reason,
side.
right? Like I did not ask him because I knew it would be a no. But
Yeah.
here I am thinking this isn't going to hurt anyone. So like, why not just do it?
Hmm.
But again, it was the wrong thing to do. And it was a
Right.
lesson learned and grateful to learn that lesson.
Right. Well, thank you for explaining. It's funny because my next question for you, what's a mistake you're glad you made? It seems like that is pretty much that.
I don't know that
So,
I'm glad I made it.
well,
I made it.
you,
So you said, okay, what was your question?
what was a mistake you're glad you made?
Okay, so I don't know that I'm glad that I made that. Like in hindsight, again, if I could go back, I would never have done it because I would have been able to keep the job. But then again, my life probably wouldn't look like, what it does today.
But did that
Um,
not lead you to the health club potentially that allowed you to read some more? Or do I have
no,
my
it
time?
did. No, it did. That's exactly like what happened. So like I would not have ended up into like the perfect, job for a high schooler had that not happened. So you're absolutely right. I didn't even really connect those dots. See, like again, in hindsight, like everything, makes so much sense when you're able to go back, when you're able to go back in time.
Right, right. Okay. Interesting. Now, you don't have to go back to necessarily that however old that Matt was, but just from a broader sense, what's one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self? And I've asked you this, some other colleagues have asked you this, but for the general audience, what would you say?
Um, so you got to keep in mind that I'm speaking to myself. I'm not
Yeah.
speaking to a younger version of someone else, and I'm not speaking to someone else. But if I could go back and have a conversation with myself, I would say, like, not to be so selfish.
Mm.
Like, don't be so selfish. Be a giver earlier in life. Like, there's more opportunity to go around. Like, you can, share. Like, you don't have to be selfish. And I think, part of that comes from like growing up without a lot. Again, like my family, I would say is like firmly middle class. I just happened to be in a family where I had cousins that had a lot of wealth. So I was exposed to like what wealth looks like, and I wanted it, and I just didn't know why I couldn't have it. So the things that I did have, I was ultra protective of because I didn't want anything to happen to them. Whether it was a toy, a game console, whatever it was, I was just so protective of it because I didn't want anything to happen to it
Okay.
when in reality, like I could have been, sharing, like I could have been doing things with other people and experiencing like greater joy with other people. So it was more along the lines of like, hey, like you don't need to be so selfish. Like
Right.
there's more than enough opportunity to go around. Like if something happens to one of your prized possessions, again, like it was meant to happen
Mhm.
so not trying to necessarily like control like every little outcome, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
That's that's so interesting to me. Did you feel like you stopped being selfish once you got to out of college, or when do you think you finally realized?
That's a great question. I would say probably around 26, 27, somewhere in that area. Um, and that actually corresponds with my first child.
Mm,
So it wasn't until like I had my daughter to where, like life wasn't really about me any longer.
mhm.
Of course, in marriage, it's not about me any longer anyway, but having children, it's just different. I can't say, like unless you've had children, like it's hard to understand and relate to exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
But it was around that period in my life where I started to recognize and realize, like, wait a minute, the more I give, the more that comes back to me. And oh my gosh, how much further I would be if I had just, operated from this memorandum in the beginning, versus today.
Yeah, but it's hard to live life that way. I think you have a wonderful thing going, and I'm awfully glad you had your daughter so that you can experience
Same.
this kind of epiphany. So
Yeah, same.
I'm
Same.
glad she exists. I don't know her, but I'm sure she's wonderful.
You'll meet her soon.
No, that'd be
You'll
so
meet her
cool.
soon.
Um, Wonderful, man. Thank you for sharing that. Now, yeah, I suppose that would be a very small decision that changed or the decision that you made that had a huge impact on your life. But let's go just a tiny bit deeper now. We mentioned faith when we first started talking, um, just in terms of our spirituality, but where has God surprised you personally most in your journey, your life journey, right? You're relatively young,
Yeah.
so far.
This may surprise you, but what I think of in terms of like where I'm surprised,
Mhm.
it's that God has tested me over and over again to determine my commitment to like a specific task. So for some reason, whenever I've fully committed to something, a major rock tends to appear, some type of boulder that's like hindering our ability to move forward. And I now just recognize that that challenge is just another one of these tests from the man upstairs to see whether I'm serious, like about progressing. And it helps me like stop and, like run deeper analysis. So like it's kind of a weird thing, but it's almost like the struggles that he has put in front of me were put in front of me for a very specific reason.
Mhm.
And I needed that in my life at that moment. And again, as we've mentioned, may not have known why at the time.
Right.
But as I've gotten older and older, I'm starting to pick up the why in real time. So at first, like, a decade ago, it was more along the lines of like, oh, like here's this huge problem. This is why we can't move forward, or here's why this won't work. And today it's just like, wow, this is another one of these tests. Like he's testing me here. And if I partner with him, we can accomplish anything together.
Hmm.
So it's just a bit of I don't know, it's just a change in, it's a change in like philosophy in terms of like what like problems are.
Hmm.
It's more like these aren't problems, these are opportunities just disguised, as like, big hairy problems.
Yeah, and the tests they can be real difficult, right? Because they're uncomfortable. You gotta be
Can
uncomfortable
be.
to grow, right? But
Yeah,
would you
it
say
can be.
they're all kind of opportunities that he's presenting you with?
They are, but some of them require sacrifice.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm referring to. It's like you say you want this. Are you really willing to make the sacrifice? And sometimes it's a question that is not hypothetical. It's a very real question. And that's what I'm referring to.
Right.
Like those are those real life circumstances that I now just view as tests.
Hmm. Okay.
So that has surprised me. So like that, it's just a view that I have that I did not have, like a decade ago. That is one of the more surprising viewpoints, at
Hmm.
least from my perspective.
Maybe as you've gotten deeper in your sense of faith too, that's allowed
Sure.
you to kind
Yeah,
of
I
open your
think
eyes to
so.
that.
Yeah, I think
Interesting.
so.
Okay. Well, in terms of your own legacy, because I know you think about it frequently, but when you think about your personal legacy, what's one thing, and I don't mean to sound morbid, but I was just
Mhm.
curious, what's one thing you hope people will remember about you? Be it your kids, be it your friends, be it your wife, one thing.
It's funny because you actually hit upon it earlier today, and like subconsciously and internally, like I'm smiling and I'm giddy because you brought it up when you said like happiness, smile slash like energy. I want to give other people energy. Like I want to not be this dark cloud that sucks energy out of a room. Like I want to add fuel to a fire. I
Hmm.
want for the individual who doesn't think that, XYZ is possible, I want to be the one that shows them that like, yes, this is possible and you're going to be the one to do it.
To come in like a
So it's
firecracker every single day and be the
yeah,
happy
yeah,
one in the
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so like I would, love to be known as like, hey, like that person like w was very happy. Like he was energetic, like an energy like magnet, if you will. Um, but he worked hard. So like those are two things that like I really would like. It's like happiness slash like he gave me energy, coupled with he works really hard. If
Mhm.
those would be two things that like my children and my wife would say about me when I'm no longer here, like mission accomplished, job well done.
Right. And I think that's just fantastic, Matt. And I don't mean to embarrass you or boast on your behalf, but I'm just going to tell the listener because I think it's something real simple that they could do as soon as today at their respective offices. But every time you come in to our place of work, you say, "Hello, so and so. Hello, so and so. What's up? What's up?" Every time you do some sort of like semicircle and just make sure everybody's presence is acknowledged. Nobody else does that. I don't do it as much as I could. I notice that sometimes I'll walk in, people are absolutely locked in, and I don't want to interrupt, but I should do it anyway because I don't know who said hello to them beforehand. Certainly, if you're not here, the likelihood is next to zero.
Right.
So, for the listener, a little hello or a little how are you goes a long way because we have no idea what's going on, behind closed doors at somebody's home. So that's
So
just something I've been
true.
thinking about.
No, it's so true. Again, I walk around life thinking that everyone's wearing a sign around their neck that says "Make me feel important."
Yep.
And here I am, in our office. I'm at the office that's near the end of our hallway, near the entry and exit. And every once in a while, someone will be moving out of our office quickly, like they're on the phone or something. And because I'm sitting here, when I see them just breeze by, like, oh, okay, like a hello or like see ya, would be nice.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just more about like acknowledging someone's presence, like,
Mhm.
hey, good morning. It's nice to see you. I'm here. I see you're here. Like, awesome, So
Yeah,
like it's more about just like fostering like the community, together. But I also think it's just like more of like the respectful thing to do, like
for
where
sure.
people, why would we not say hello? Why would we not say goodbye to each other? I think it's so weird when, someone just dips out quietly. It's almost like an Irish exit. No one says anything. So
Yeah,
I try to be a little bit more, obnoxious with it.
I love
But
that.
I'm glad that, I'm glad you've noticed.
Well, I just have a couple more questions for you. These are a little bit more unfiltered, a little bit sillier. But, what's a hill a hill, so to speak, that you would die on, right? Something that, let's just say it's an unpopular opinion that you really hold, that you don't talk about very much, that if other people knew, they'd be like, what in the world is wrong with you?
Okay.
And maybe there
Um,
isn't one, but
this one's hard, just because it's my personality. But like becoming a sovereign individual, like is the goal, period.
Mhm.
So to become a sovereign individual or die trying is like the path that I'm referring to.
Mhm.
I'm not the type that has the desire to work for someone else. So, like that hill that I would die on is becoming a sovereign individual, like
Mhm.
obtaining independence, not going to work for someone else, not going to rely upon anyone else. There's just that weird, desire for the sovereignty, if you
Right,
will.
right. Fascinating. I've known that, but it's nice to hear again. So,
Yeah, we've had a couple of combos about
so
it.
if I said, Matt, I'm gonna need those forms over to me by Thursday afternoon at the
I
latest,
would
that that
explode.
that would, oh really?
I would just combust.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll never say that then. Um, and my last question for you, Matt. I didn't cut you off there, did I?
No, no.
Okay. If you were interviewing me today, what would you have asked me? Just one question.
Hmm. What is your greatest ambition or desire that you have not shared with anyone else that you perceive may be embarrassing?
Oh, damn. What a great question. I'm
So,
gonna
like, is
cut.
there anything where it's like, "Ah, I want to be this or I want to do this, but like, I just don't want to say it. Like I don't want to say it out loud. It doesn't sound good or, makes me look a certain way. Um, or it could even be a fear." like I just have this underlying fear of blank.
This is a
Yeah,
great question. Oh my goodness.
you could start the next pod with the answer. So you could be like, let me think on that. We'll start the podcast with that answer if you don't
Yeah.
want to answer it now.
Matt, that is such a fantastic question, and you've seriously stumped me. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of reflecting, probably think about this as I run or something like that, and then
Okay, so this is what we're going to open with next.
I'll come back to you with a with an eloquent answer to make up for the time. So
Let's
yeah,
go. Okay, okay,
so,
that's fine.
some so,
That's fine.
yeah, something to look forward to.
To be
And then
continued.
yeah, the listener, welcome to think about the same thing because I think it's really important to acknowledge. So in closing, your quote of the day is from a gentleman named Ralph Waldo Emerson. He writes, "Our chief want in life is somebody who will make us do what we can." And I think
I love that.
that's pretty great. Yeah.
I love that.
So
That's great. That's really, really good. I like that.
awesome, awesome. Well, that wraps episode 27. Matt, thanks so much for being the interviewee. I had a lot of fun.
Now I got a cliffhanger. I can't wait to hear what your response is. So,
Good. Well, I was thinking and like traveling through my mind, and I have four things I could say,
okay.
but now I'll let the anticipation
Ooh,
kill you.
it's brewing. All right, good. Let's get it.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on Silent Service.
See ya.